Hi everyone, welcome back to the weekly Redfox Labs AMA. Benny Fairbank, the co-founder and CEO, is here to give us the latest company updates. We have a few community questions and we have Leah Callon-Butler joining us to discuss the play-to-earn gaming space. Leah's a leader in the crypto space doing some amazing work, so we're really excited to have her. All right, so how's it going, Benny?
Yeah, everything's trucking along, and we're very focused on getting some of these key milestones met.
That's it. I saw KOGs Third Edition will launch on June the 27th. The trailer's looking really cool. Nice work from the team there.
Yeah, it's been a long time to come together, but also the ability to use RFOX and increasing that utility was very important for us. But this is the first release under the entirely new team. Massive team compared to what we've had. So very big production compared to the past editions.
Yeah, sure is. And a good time for new KOGs players to get on board and have a crack.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that with all of this, the talk of play to earn, I think it's timely that we get that game into people's hands, and we've made it appeal to a much wider audience now. So I think it's going to do very well.
Yeah, that's it. And you're getting close to launching the NFT platform too. I know you're doing some final touches, and what features could we expect it to have?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is, and I talk about that in a paper that I'm about to release, but ultimately, hand on heart, with trying to produce some of this stuff or get it out, we didn't hit some of these milestones because we're trying to do everything at once or in the beginning. So if you're not careful, you end up not having a lot of anything. So what we've done is we've actually gone back and made sure that everything's stripped out, and we've got a proper white label that can go to market so that any NFT platform or any chain can come along and integrate into this NFT platform. So the whole idea of it is to be that big brands, instead of them coming to us and spending a lot of time with hand holding, it will allow them to be able to, much in the same way they would Shopify start up a shop, be able to launch their own type of NFTs and have all of the framework and the customer flow all done for them.
All right. So last week I mentioned that I would ask you some questions from the community, and we have a few that have been left. And the first one, Richard Thomas, he asked, after living in Singapore for many years, I know firsthand the growth potential of the Southeast Asia market. I would appreciate more clarity on the current and future utility of the RFOX and VFOX tokens beyond what's already in place.
Yeah, so that's, again, I think that this paper that's coming out will sort of serve as evergreen content because it will focus on the VFOX and RFOX tokens utility, their emissions and distribution and why they exist. So I think I would suggest to wait for about 24 more hours, and that'll be in people's hot little hands, and you'll be able to read all about that.
Okay, and here's one from Magic Turtle. Is the level of awareness and interest in Redfox Labs in the region growing or plateaued due to the market correction?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's a fair question. It's actually growing. The unfortunate situation that we're in at the moment, and this is also talked about in the paper, is that the market determines the business value. And what we're doing is we're trying to work towards a situation where the business determines the business value. So that's a fundamental shift away from a normal crypto token or project. And just to give you an example, we've got a venture that's already released, launched and running that has a higher valuation than our entire token market cap. So the market definitely dictates the value of your token and your project. So again, the quicker we can get some of these things out, and we are gaining traction, and this play to earn type of game release will be the fastest road to getting that mass adoption and more traction. But if you look at our wallet numbers, our followers, our users, they're all on the up. So now it's about the time where we focus on making sure that the business is driving the business value and not the market.
Okay, and here's another question from Magic Turtle again. Can you comment on any progress promoting access, adoption, and application of the digital economy within online gaming in the Southeast Asia region beyond KOGs?
Yeah, so 100%. That's also discussed in the paper, but the metaverse idea effectively is a platform for all of the other ventures to plug into. So what it basically means is that if we launch RFOX Media or RFOX TV, normally you'd have to go through a cycle of education process, massive amounts of money in marketing to try and get a new audience in. The metaverse acts as a centralized platform or central platform that allows us to be able to utilize the supporter base, user base, follower base that we have to actually launch and introduce those businesses too, which gives it a much higher chance of survival and much easier path to mass adoption. So the whole idea of everything that we're doing is not just focused around games, of course. That's the first venture to have launched. But when you plug in finance and when you plug in media and when you plug in the cashback and streaming app and you put it all into the metaverse, you end up with a very clear pathway to adoption, because you have multiple ventures, multiple audiences that you're appealing to, all culminating into one space or one central DApp.
Yep, okay. Now, Ben, I know you have to run, so before we switch over to Leah, we're going to hear a bit more about Play to Earn in the crypto space from her. What's coming up for you and the team over the next week?
Yeah, the next week is obviously getting this paper out, which gives people a greater indication. We're working on tightening up our roadmap and timelines for deliverables, so that we've given people a clearer path of when things will be rolled out and actually delivered. So we've got two and a half ventures that are very close to communicating the final dates for delivery. Lots of stuff's been happening behind the scenes, and what we want to be able to do is show that, but we want to be very transparent. So I think the next week is about setting up the structures to increase transparency and make sure that we really give people an inside view of exactly where we sit, exactly where we're headed, what the opportunity looks like, so that people feel like they're really part of this ride with us.
Right, so that's another busy one. You're going to be chipping away at that all week. So thanks so much for the updates, mate.
No problems. Have a good day. See you.
All right. Hi, Leah. Great to be chatting with you. How's it going?
I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
There's something like 40 million new internet users in Southeast Asia in 2020. So what does that mean for investors in Play to Earn companies?
Places like Southeast Asia and as well as Latin America, Brazil, Africa, people are looking at these regions because traditionally they're extremely difficult to access. They're underserved economies, or in many cases, completely unserved economies who are desperate for new products and services. But there's been a range of problems in terms of accessing the bottom of the pyramid, as it's known. It's the largest, if you think of the world's population as a pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid is the largest segment, but they're the most difficult to reach. And often, sometimes, the traditional idea was that because they didn't have much money, that they weren't a valuable segment. But with things like, you may have heard of M-Pesa in Africa, a wildly successful company that figured out how to deliver financial services through a mobile phone to the poorest of the poor. And, they solved a lot of these problems that were traditionally seen as insurmountable hurdles to be able to deliver services to the poor. So I think what we're seeing now is an evolution of that stage, where if we can actually reach people with technology and through the internet, well, what other kind of services can we provide above and beyond just mobile payments? And obviously payments are very important, and things like M-Pesa have shown the success of products like that. But now we're looking at, well, how can we actually earn money? Not just move it, but actually find ways for people to be able to change their economic status through participation in the digital economy. So for investors that are looking at this space, this is, I personally believe that in these kind of economies over the next few decades, this is where the majority of the world's growth will come from. And I think, I can't remember the actual stat off the top of my head, but Asia, I think within the next few decades is set to be the biggest economy in the world. So yeah, I think a lot of people are tapping into that and realizing that it's actually possible to reach these people now.
Yeah. So how about real estate ownership? It's beyond the means of so many people in developing nations and in developed nations for that matter. Will digital real estate provide an entry point for some of these people? And are you seeing any interest, and do people understand the opportunities as these markets develop?
So, slight caveat to that question. I have actually seen people here in Southeast Asia who have been able to afford to buy physical world or real world real estate with their in-game rewards that they've earned in NFT games. Yeah, so people have bought blocks of land. There was a 22-year-old that bought 2 houses here in the Philippines. People have actually been able to invest in serious physical world or traditional assets with the kind of money that they're earning from NFT games. So I think that's the first point to realize, that people are really changing their economic status with these in-game rewards. But buying virtual land, yeah, absolutely. There's huge opportunity in that. And I think particularly through things like fractionalization of NFTs. So you don't have to buy the whole thing. You could actually just own a slice of an NFT. But the biggest hurdle for that to get over, I think, is this issue around digital rights and digital ownership. I was just talking to a friend the other day and she was like, why would I spend so much money on virtual land? Because the internet is infinite. So there's no value if I can just always create more and more and more land. So there's this perception that digital items are not as valuable as real world items because they're not scarce. They're infinite, they're replicable, they're not authentic in any way. And NFTs is the first time that we've been able to actually claim ownership of our digital items. So I think once people start to actually, once they cotton on to the fact that they do have digital rights, and that the more time they spend in virtual worlds, they're going to want to be able to demonstrate ownership of their stuff online, that's when we'll see a really big change in terms of people investing in virtual assets, I think.
All right, so that was a snippet of the interview with Leah. Check out the full interview later this week. That's all we have for now. Have a great week, everyone.